deals when it comes to their contracts. Now, we know the current CBA agreement is set to expire at the conclusion of this season, and those players that is currently under contract through these agreements, all of that stuff will be null and void after this calendar year. So basically, hence why players like Breanna Stewart, Kelsey Mitchell, all signed one-year deals to remain on their same teams because of this current CBA agreement. Because if they would have locked in to a long-term deal, they would have been under the old CBA agreement. Now, I'm not saying that the deal is going to be done.
The Women's National Basketball Association Players Union has turned down the league's opening collective bargaining contract offer, heightening tensions between athletes and team owners. As discussions persist, the current contract arrangement concludes when this season ends, creating uncertainty for all involved parties. Key athletes, including Breanna Stewart and Satou Sabally, have become leading voices pushing for better pay structures and workplace improvements throughout these ongoing talks. Their public remarks mirror widespread athlete concerns about the sufficiency of current offers and management priorities.
Now, like I stated before, I don't know what they are expecting to get, but it's not going to be a lot, man. It's not going to be a lot. They're going to get a little bit more, but they're not going to get everything that they want, man. I don't know necessarily what they're looking for. That's my biggest thing. Excuse me, I'm trying to release this video and while I make this video. But yeah, I don't know what they're looking for, man. I don't know what they're looking for. So it's continued right here. It say there'll be a pretty big meeting in Indy between both sides, and hopefully
multi-year deals currently in place face potential cancellation if discussions drag past the deadline, affecting roster construction and team planning. Several top performers, including Stewart and Kelsey Mitchell, deliberately chose single-year deals to avoid being trapped under the expiring contract terms. These discussions began around October last year, concentrating mainly on wage improvements and enhanced contract perks. Athletes want bigger portions of revenue and better workplace standards as the league experiences expansion.
I'm saying that it is looking very, very spooky for the league moving forward without having these agreements done, dog. This stuff has been going on for the last couple months. A lot of players seem very, very frustrated about it, and they're steady trying to expand teams and move this thing to different cities and different states. But at the end of the day, you have to make sure the main thing is the main thing, and that is getting these players compensated. Make sure you're
The gap between domestic and international earnings continues as a major issue, with numerous players making far more money competing abroad than at home. This financial reality shapes athlete choices about league involvement and future career decisions. Sabally described the league's opening offer as insufficient, calling it disrespectful to athlete contributions and league development. Her remarks showed frustration with ownership priorities concerning expansion versus current athlete investment.
Between both sides, and hopefully we'll be able to talk through it a little bit more rather than just email and messaging back and forth. So I wonder, man, like, what are they looking for? What is going on, man? Now, I did see the front office, they ended up posting something here. Let's take a look at this one, right? The clock is ticking on the WNBA and its union to agree to a new collective bargaining agreement, but the two sides appear to be far apart. The Phoenix Mercury Satou Sabally, a WNBPA.
The forward stressed the importance of supporting existing athletes before pursuing expansion projects. She promoted roster growth and increased investment in current teams rather than adding new franchises without proper athlete support systems. Sabally specifically attacked organizations that consistently underinvest in athlete facilities and support while the league considers expansion. Her remarks highlighted worries about sustainable development versus quick expansion without solid foundations. Stewart shared similar frustrations about the discussion process, suggesting that ownership seemed to ignore athlete concerns and suggestions. As a players' union board member, she represents collective athlete interests in ongoing talks.
These players compensated. Make sure you're getting them paid up to where they is performing and want to be in the league. Now, we know players are still going overseas, getting more money over there than they would be over here. Probably why superstar player Emma Messiman hasn't really came back over here, because me personally, everybody knows you're going to make more money over there than you would over here, and that's just the story of it all. Now, with all that being said, Satou Sabally, I seen the clip. I did not report on it. I'm going to share it with you guys.
The WNBPA wants increased salary portions of league revenue and improved workplace conditions across various areas. These discussions cover not just financial compensation, but also facility upgrades, travel arrangements, and professional growth opportunities. Sophie Cunningham responded to recent controversy about her remarks concerning expansion markets and lifestyle factors. Her explanation emphasized respect for existing markets while acknowledging personal preferences for certain locations. Cunningham clarified that her comments about Detroit and Philadelphia were misinterpreted, noting historical importance of both markets in league development. She expressed appreciation for their contributions to WNBA growth and establishment.
Far apart. The Phoenix Mercury Satu Sabally, a WNBPA player representative, told the media Tuesday that the WNBA sent a proposal to the union, the video I showed y'all basically, and said it was a slap in the face, right? Let's see. WNBA announced 3 new expansion teams that will bring the league to a record 18 franchises. Now, although they're getting these franchises, the thing to realize is that money is going to be spread even more thin now that you're adding these other franchises. I don't think people are thinking about that too. You know, they're getting all this money.
The athlete's preference for markets like Miami and New York related to lifestyle elements rather than criticism of working-class communities. She emphasized coming from Missouri and understanding middle-class values while noting personal attraction to certain urban settings. Lifestyle factors play important roles in athlete decisions about team selection and career planning. The balance between professional opportunities and personal preferences influences where athletes choose to compete.
Sabally, I seen the clip. I did not report on it. I'm going to share it with you guys here shortly. Satu Sabally pretty much ripped WNBA owners yesterday about this same set agreement. Let's check out the footage before we get into the Breanna Stewart thing. Let's look and see what Satu Sabally had to say. Roll the footage.
The other day about expansion and then the plans for the league to continue to try to grow the market as well.
Off-court facilities and urban attractions play significant roles in athlete satisfaction and mental health maintenance. The demanding nature of professional basketball requires athletes to find appropriate balance between competition and personal life. Cunningham noted that public perception can change quickly, with supporters becoming critics based on individual statements or decisions. She maintains perspective about public opinion while staying true to personal values and experiences.
You know, they're getting all this money to build those organizations, if you will. But the money, the pot, is going to be split even more. So you have to think about that, man. You're expanding extremely fast here, and you're stretching that pot thin. Let's just continue to see what they're saying here, though. I love to see the league growing, but how cool would it be? Oh, this is Satu. A source close to the negotiations told Front Office Sports that the WNBA sent the proposal to the union last week, and that it's the first proposal.
The expansion discussion highlights tensions between league growth goals and current infrastructure capabilities. Adding new franchises requires substantial investment in facilities, coaching, and athlete development resources. Business factors complicate discussions as ownership groups seek return on investment after years of financial losses. The league operated at deficits for decades before recent growth created revenue opportunities.
As well.
I think we can focus on our players in the union. We got a proposal from the league, which was honestly a slap in the face, and I think we really have to put an emphasis on the players that are in our league right now. But I love to see the league growing. I think, you know, adding these teams in Philly and Detroit, like, that's how amazing is that the league can grow. But how cool would it also be to have like a little bit expansion on the rosters? Like, let's focus on the teams that have everything set up right now, and maybe focus.
NBA ownership groups have subsidized WNBA operations since inception, investing billions without significant returns until recent growth periods. This historical context influences current discussion approaches and ownership perspectives. The arrival of marketable stars like Caitlin Clark has generated unprecedented revenue and attention, creating the first substantial return on investment for many ownership groups. This success provides leverage for both sides in current discussions. Ownership groups naturally seek to recover previous investments while athletes argue for fair compensation reflecting current league value and growth. These competing interests create tension in determining appropriate revenue sharing arrangements.
To the union last week, and that it's the first proposal the league has sent. The The source confirmed that the players felt the initial proposal wasn't entirely responsive to their requests. Now, of course, I think you're going to have that back and forth. I remember, I'll let y'all know, I was in cahoots with Underdog, and we was going back and forth on an agreement, and it just didn't work out. Of course, they tried to lowball me a little bit, or whatever the case may be, but that's a part of negotiating, right? It's a tactic. Hey, I'm going to give you this. Let's see if we can get them for this.
Financial transparency remains limited, with ownership groups maintaining proprietary information about league finances and individual franchise profitability. This information asymmetry complicates athlete evaluation of reasonable compensation levels. Business analysis suggests both perspectives have merit, with ownership deserving return on long-term investments while athletes merit compensation reflecting current league success and individual contributions to growth. Salary expectations vary significantly, with some advocating for million-dollar contracts while others suggest more modest increases to current structures. The appropriate level depends on overall league revenue and sustainability projections.
Have everything set up right now and maybe focus on the teams also that find excuses continuously to lack investment into their players before we focus on adding more to the grain of people that can't really be sustained.
So that was Satu Sabally yesterday speaking about the media agreement. Now, I'm here to tell you she's not the only one, because an agreement has been presented to the players. Now, this just came out a couple of hours ago. It said WNBA players rejected the league's first.
Market forces ultimately determine sustainable compensation levels, balancing athlete expectations with league financial capabilities and long-term viability. Excessive increases could threaten league stability, while inadequate compensation fails to retain top talent. The international alternative continues influencing discussions, as overseas opportunities provide viable alternatives to domestic competition. This competitive pressure affects league bargaining position and athlete leverage. Historical precedent from other professional sports leagues provides frameworks for revenue sharing and compensation structures. However, the WNBA's unique circumstances require customized approaches rather than direct copying of existing models. Media attention surrounding discussions increases pressure on both sides to reach reasonable agreements. Public scrutiny affects discussion dynamics and creates incentives for demonstrating good faith efforts.
See if we can get them for this, and if you don't know your worth, you're going to end up accepting whatever is thrown at you. So you have to know your worth, and apparently that's what the women here are saying. But at the same time, it's like, do you really know your worth? I mean, we see who are making the big numbers, who's getting the viewership. It's a lot dealing with the Indiana Fever. Now, if it was across the board, right, I think they'll have something to argue here. But, you know, it's mainly one player that's bringing all this cahoots to chaos.
Athlete unity appears strong based on public statements and coordinated contract strategies. This solidarity strengthens their discussion position while creating pressure for ownership to address collective concerns. The timing creates urgency as the season progresses toward conclusion and contract expiration dates approach. Extended discussions risk creating competitive disruptions and roster uncertainty for following seasons. League growth momentum provides opportunity for creative solutions benefiting both parties. Increased revenue streams enable higher athlete.
Just came out a couple of hours ago. It said WNBA players rejected the league's first CBA offer from last week. So basically, this has been let out probably about a week ago, and we just heard what Satu Sabally said, pretty much a slap in the face and stuff like that. Now, this is what Breanna Stewart said. Breanna Stewart expressed frustrations after WBPA received their first CBA negotiation from the league. The WBPA is negotiating for larger salary shares of league revenue and improved conditions. Now,
future franchise values depend partly on successful discussion outcomes. As athlete satisfaction affects league quality and marketability, ownership groups must balance immediate cost concerns with long-term value creation. The resolution will establish precedent for future discussions and influence league development trajectory. Successful agreements could accelerate growth, while failures might limit competitive quality and expansion opportunity. Public support appears largely favorable toward athlete positions, though business realities require balanced consideration of all stakeholder interests. Community investment in league success creates pressure for reasonable outcomes.
Only one player that's bringing all this cahoots to chaos. It's only one player doing it, man. So I don't necessarily know What leverage do they feel like they have right now, honestly, in my opinion? Last week, Indiana Fever players Sophie Cunningham and Sydney Colson read a prepared statement. I think a few players have done this to the media on behalf of the union ahead of their nationally televised game against the Las Vegas Aces. As the league grows, they say, it's time for the CBA that reflects our true value. We are fighting for a fair share of business that we built, Cunningham.
Timing uncertainty affects athlete planning and franchise roster construction for future seasons. Extended discussions create competitive disadvantages and limit strategic planning capabilities across the organization. The WNBA Players Union has formally turned down the league's opening collective bargaining contract offer, escalating tensions between athletes and ownership as discussions continue. The rejection follows several days of public criticism from prominent athletes regarding the adequacy of terms offered. Breanna Stewart expressed significant frustration with the discussion process during recent media availability, indicating that ownership failed to engage meaningfully with athlete concerns. Her comments suggested that the offer ignored previous discussions.
Improved conditions. Now, this is what Breanna Stewart said. She said it's absolutely frustrated, the kind of just ignored everything we said. So she's on the board as well. Now, none other than Sophie Cunningham, she kind of found herself under fire too. We're speaking about the current state of the growing of the league with the expansion. Let's check out what she had to say, man. Roll the footage.
Yeah. Okay. First of all, I know the history behind the WNBA. I know that both of those cities have had.
Stewart emphasized expectations for substantive dialogue rather than immediate acceptance of initial offers. However, she characterized the league's approach as dismissive of athlete positions and concerns raised during earlier discussion phases. The discussion timeline has extended beyond initial expectations, with both sides now planning comprehensive meetings in Indianapolis to address outstanding issues. Previous communication has relied primarily on electronic messaging rather than face-to-face discussions.
Cunningham said in part, the WNBA did not respond to a request for comment. So here's the WNBA's financial situation, right? The league agreed to a record 11-year, $2.2 billion media rights deal alongside the same partners as the NBA. That number has That number has already grown due to a multi-year extension the WNBA signed with Scripps Sports. ESPN reported last year that the final
Satu Sabali previously characterized the league's offer as inadequate and disrespectful to athlete contributions. Her assessment reflected broader athlete sentiment regarding ownership priorities and commitment to meaningful compensation improvements. A source familiar with discussions confirmed that the rejected offer represented the league's first formal proposal to the players' union. The source indicated that athletes felt the terms were not responsive to their previously communicated requests and priorities.